torn, liquor store, gun store, bodega like a general store where you could get you some raw or whatever you want, it's all yours. Fiends nodding off on the milk crates, DTs hiding out trying to build case. Repeat offenders selling cause their bill's late and they don't see another way, now that's an ill fate. Brother trying to make sure it's a pill straight. Mother came back from Kuwait with a steel plate. Shit is real, even Steve Jobs died. These kids don't wanna idolize guys like Bill Gates. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up to Zuccotti in your Bugatti. You probably just don't get it, you bourgeoisie. You probably wasn't expecting this new posse. Trying to make a change, you and who's on me? Huh? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? Move calmly. For real, they pop pills and shouting YOLO now. On some don't look back shit and don't look down. Everybody wanna have a colder style. Rather be a Colin pal than a Goma pal. That's that gangster mentality. People got it all crooked. Wanna be a real crime family. Ain't up on them Bin Ladens in the bushes, it's a damn shame. You still quoting Scarface. Cliché than the car chase. And if you saying that it's art for art's sake, then I'm just saying don't get caught counting cars, Ace. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up in your Lex in front of the jet. Say you ain't even from there, something suspect. Show some respect, at least show some sense. You trying to connect, that's a stretch. You trying to contest. You and who's on me? Huh? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? Move calmly. Hey yo, EMP's the army. Better yet, the National Guard. Better yet, international czars. After the party is the anarchy. That ain't a plan hardly. Man, don't even start me. Know what I don't like? I won't lie. It's exploitation, trying to play both sides. Disenfranchised youth on the block. Think a revolution starts just by shooting the cop. You wanna ruin two families? That's what that is. So focus on the bullet, we forgot about the ballot. And when your hands are already bloody, what's a little more? In the struggle, hope there's not another civil war. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way of the world. Pulling up to Zuccotti in your Bugatti. You probably just don't get it, you bourgeoisie. You probably wasn't expecting this new posse. Trying to make a change, you and who's on me? Huh? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? You and who's on me? Move calmly.
Many faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
The thing about hip hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip-hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do in their reach for you.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live.
So hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
This is Baby Girl Faces. And this episode is brought to you by
Peace and love. It's your man, Manny Faces. This is Hip Hop Can Save America. See, I knew I wasn't even ready. Knew I was gonna be rusty. It's wild. I'm already rusty, and I just started. I was answering Latoya. Shouts to Miss Parker in the chat. She was apologizing for not being here the last few weeks. I wasn't here the last few weeks. You ain't missed nothing. I'm the one that needs to apologize. But it's all good. Thank you for being here. Shouts to Andrew Wang in the chat. Shouts to, of course, the mighty Flow Story, the channel, aka Hoodwink, aka. Come on now, you got too many. You got more AKs than me, bro. Come on now. But we got our good peoples, our good folks tuning in and checking us out on the live. If you're catching this on the replay, I appreciate that. We definitely need replay gang in the building. So shouts to you. We will be most Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, streaming live. Been doing it for over a year now. I skip a few weeks here and there because life does the lifing thing. But generally speaking, we're here talking about the ways that hip hop music and culture can help uplift humanity and improve society in ways that can benefit everybody across the board, across all demographics, but most importantly, people who have been traditionally underserved, marginalized, underrepresented, under-resourced, and underloved by the very country that birthed hip hop. So that's the focus. We share stories of people doing that work. I'm your humble guide through this, what do you want to call it, journey that we're on together. You may come into this show knowing all about this stuff and want to feel just, kind of reinvigorated. You might come into this show saying Hip Hop Can Save America sounds wild, sounds like a crazy concept, but it's true. And we will give you some evidence to support that, and we'll tell you some good stories along the way. We have interviews with wonderful folks. By the way, just let me know if I'm sounding good, smelling good, tasting good, feeling good in the chat. I just want to, like I say, I haven't done this in a couple weeks. I want to make sure the tech is teching, you know what I mean? And we should be good to go. As you see on the tonight screen, we will be talking about some upcoming hip-hop conference. Did I spell that right? Conference and CFP dates. Andrew, I thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, snap. I appreciate you saying I look thinner. I've been up and down. But also I realized that the thing that I use to put the chats on the screen isn't working. Dang. So there's that. So there's something that I know. Oh, now it works. Okay. Looks and sounds good. You look and sound good. All right. I'm just saying that because it popped up on the screen. I'm not talking about you, Miss Parker. That'd be very inappropriate for a live broadcast to the world, sitting here being all flirty and stuff. That's not what's happening. I'm here. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Upcoming hip hop conference and CFP dates. CFPs are like, call for proposals, call for papers, call for performances in some cases. There's a lot of hip hop conferences coming up this year. We're getting into conference season. I guess if there's a season for it, that's it. So we'll talk about some upcoming conferences. A lot of the folks that tune into the show are of the academic circle. Sometimes they're artists, teaching artists. Sometimes they're unaffiliated with hip hop at all, but they're in the humanities or they're, just kind of intellectually curious. Hip hop conferences are actually a really fantastic place to be. So I love talking about them because I think that you don't have to be an academic to be in an academic hip hop conference, even though they're often held at, universities and, scholarly institutions. But that it's actually important for fans of hip hop, the type of people who listen to this show and rock with the newsletter and the things we do here that are kind of hey, I want more from my hip hop than just entertainment. Like I want to use the culture. I want to, participate in some way that can benefit humanity. The conferences are actually a good place to be. So we often know that we have to be wary of how traditional institutions treat hip hop music and culture. And, we're always kind of side-eyeing, academic institutions sometimes. But the folks that we rock with and the folks that I talk about here and the conferences that we promote are actually, I would have to say, unassailable in their dedication to hip hop culture as a whole and all the people that take part in it. So we're going to talk about some of those because it's important. Their dates are coming up. You want to set your dates. You want to make sure that you can be in the place to be if it's near you. We've got New York, New Jersey area. We've got California. We've got Ohio. And we've got another one in California. So we're going to talk about that in a few. And then I'll have an interview with Dr. Randy Sconiers, aka Dr. S. And keeping in line with some of the talks that we've had lately on this show. Well, I guess the last time we were here, we were talking about sort of like hip hop and mental health. We're going to talk about our friends in the mental health setting as well, that's connected with hip hop, Rhythms of Healing. And then Dr. Sconiers, who actually references that interview in his interview. We're going to talk to him in a few about the work he does with a sort of a platform that he's built. Not a platform like a social media platform, but like a curriculum, a mental health education service. We'll talk about it. And he does that in schools, obviously, to help young people through whatever mental health issues they might have. Also help educate teachers and faculty. Another way to look at the world, the mental health world, through a hip hop lens. Of course, Dr. Raphael Travis, a big supporter of the show, is lingering and somewhere in the background. Love to hear his two cents about it. Of course, Dr. Travis wrote the book on the healing power of hip hop. So these are the kind of people we talk to on this show. I want to tell you, most people don't do this. Like, most hip hop media doesn't do this. They don't talk about that. I'm not saying no one. I don't want to do that. I want to be that guy. But most people don't. So if you feel like this is an important thing that you need in the world, and I'm doing the quick pitch in the beginning, then we'll get into it. We have a Patreon channel that helps support this. Again, some of the members are here. We have a newsletter. We shout out the supporters and the friends of the room, and it really helps keep the lights on and kind of muscle our way through this media ecosystem, especially now. I don't know if you heard, there was an election and some guy won, and now a whole bunch of like programs and stuff that has to do with, I don't know, sort of like helping people just in general are disappearing. It's a wild thing. I don't know if you heard about this. So actually, the thing I do here and the people that I talk to, like, really need to be amplified more than ever. They're because they, I think, represent a way out of this mess. We'll talk about. I'm doing the thing. What am I doing? What's this? I don't mean to be doing that, but it was more like a. So we'll talk about that. But if you can support, patreon.com/mannyfaces, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can spare, really helps do this. I have to get to conferences too and spread the gospel. And I don't work for an institution. I'm independent. So nobody reimburses me. No one gives me travel expenses. It's all out of pocket. And times are tough for everybody. I get it, but they're also tough for me. So I got to be able to find a way to keep doing this. Your help helps until we can find some way to kind of really fund it. And then I don't have to ask y'all and nickel and dime. Anyway, that being said, once again, tonight, hip hop conference and CFP dates. We'll start with that. Then we'll run the interview that I did with Dr. S. He's out of the Piscataway, New Jersey area, rocking up back in my old stomping grounds. Of course, now I'm in ATL. And I want to tell you about something in the ATL. This is also the most important thing of the night. It's not the most. That's very selfish and self-centered. Let's switch screens. The very first thing I want you to know about, if you're in Atlanta, if you're in the Atlanta area, this is actually really special to me. It's probably the second most important announcement I'm going to have this month. I got another big one coming. But we're doing a live version of this show. So this is live, so you know what I mean. But in person, in a studio audience with studio audience members. It's part of the Pod Jam ATL, event. There's 3 podcasts that'll be there live. We're one of them. They chose us. It's Hip Hop Could Save America in-person show. So if you're in Atlanta, it's March 1st, this coming Saturday. And I wanted to choose a guest that we could, do live stuff, have a live conversation. And I chose my man, my mellow. His name is John Robinson. Some of y'all know him as JR. He's a super dope hip hop artist. He's been around for a long time, done a lot of work with a lot of famous people. He's himself, quite accomplished as an independent artist, traveled the world, rocked with your favorite artists, been around the world. He's a producer. He's an executive. He's a producer. He make beats. He's great on that as well. He's an educator. So he's been a teaching artist, he's been a teacher, and he's written books. He's an author. He's written a book, in fact, co-authored by Dr. Jason Rawls, Jay Rawls, who was an early guest on this show, who's the professor of hip hop at the Ohio State University. So JR will be rocking with me live and in person. He did the thing that New Yorkers did like me and moved to the Atlanta area. So we're close. We know each other. We see each other at the Kroger. You know what I mean? And so we're gonna rock together. March 1st, 1 p.m. Tickets are free. I don't know how many people I'm talking to in Atlanta, but there's a couple of y'all, maybe even on the replay next couple of days. Tickets are free, but they're limited. It's a small space. It's not a big giant place, but there's definitely a good amount of people that can be there. Podjamatl.com. Yo, speaking of Valencia, you're coming. Look, we just got you in the chat. Look, I spoke you up. Hi, friend. This is gonna be. I hope you're still coming. I hope you can make it. This is great. I'd love to. I'm just calling. I know I'm calling you out. You didn't tell the world I'm coming to this thing, so I apologize. I just got so excited. I'm sorry, but yeah. So we got some folks in the area that have pledged to come through. Tickets are limited. They're free. So podjamatl.com. Reach out and tell your Atlanta area friends. If you're not in the area, I know someone down here. I think they'd love to see me and JR rock. So do me the favor and maybe go to my Instagram, right? Go to my IG. It's Manny Faces Official, and forward it looks like this. It looks like the image there, and just forward it to your friends in Atlanta. I would love it. We'd love to have like some of our friends there showing out. Of course, we love strangers to like get put onto the whole ecosystem. So it's gonna be fun. I love it, and I'm so glad that that it's happening. I've always wanted to do a like a in-person, like a live show. Like a lot of the big podcasts, they'll do this. They'll kind of go on tour and they'll do things. And I have like sort of a grand plan for this show, and part of that does have to do with being live. So anyway, if you're in Atlanta, and if not, tell your friends. Tell some friends. Yes, I know. And again, just shouts to like I say, like y'all watching and listening, it just mean the world to me that some of y'all actually know me in real life. Some of y'all know me through internet stuff and, the stuff we've done. Valencia, you've been a day one for a long time, from back at the Bonfire Radio days. Shouts to the good folks at Bonfire Radio, a brilliant community based for the people, by the people, of the people radio station out of Bushwick, Brooklyn for many, many years. Shouts to TK, shouts to Conscious, shouts to Charlotte, Michelle, shouts to, OG Intern, shouts to everyone who, was rocking that station for so many years. I had 3 shows on that station. I had the Manny Faces show, it was an early podcast. I did the R&B brunch. I was a DJ, DJing the R&B brunch for a couple years during pandemic, right? We were together on pandemic. And Valencia, you've been tuned in and turned up with us ever since. So I just appreciate there's people here that really pay attention to what we're doing. So I try my best to bring value to y'all. And this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. And JR's super dope, super inspirational. We'll probably, squeeze a performance out of him, which is going to be good. There's gonna be some audience interaction. It's my first time, so I'm trying this out, right? It's like gonna be a proof of concept, right? A little test. Now, you'll notice, my friends, that this looks like it comes from a newsletter, and it is. And I want y'all to know about this. This is the Hip Hop Can Save America newsletter, right? Very similar to the show, but it's a newsletter. And you'll see that you can subscribe for free at mannyfaces.substack.com. You might have heard of me before Bonfire. I mean, I was out in the world, I was doing things. So that's very possible. And that R&B brunch was super dope. I enjoyed doing that. It was like 3 hours every Sunday during the pandemic. It was I was actually in person DJing an R&B brunch at Marcus Samuelson, right? The great Marcus Samuelson chef had a restaurant in Newark, New Jersey, where I was living at the time. And matter of fact, I lived in the building. It was like an apartment building, and downstairs was like his restaurant. And I started DJing the R&B brunch for like a few weeks, and it was great. I loved it. It was such a vibe. It was so cool. And it wasn't like in Atlanta they do brunches and it's like turn up and you twerking on tables, and no. We were like a little bit more smoothed out, R&B, New York, kind of just vibing, but like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like R&B, like, in that pocket. It was dope. Like, Mayor Raz Baraka would come in and like have lunch with his family, and you know what I mean? And like the community would come out, and it was a good vibe. And it was one of my favorite DJ gigs ever. And then literally, I think 6 weeks after I started, they shut down because of pandemic. And I'd probably still, I never probably would have moved. I would have been just doing that till the day to now. So it's just wild how things happen. Anyway, enough about me, more about y'all. Hip Hop Can Save America, the newsletter, mannyfaces.substack.com. We're going to go over a couple things that I just put out today in a newsletter today. It should be in your inboxes if you're signed up. And if it's not, check your spam. And if you're not signed up, sign up. But I put this out every couple of weeks. Sometimes it's essays. My last one was the Kendrick Lamar kind of Super Bowl, my take on my response to the responses. I didn't just give a response. That's not kind of what I do. But I sort of analyze and look at, I guess, the bigger picture or the more nuanced look. And I started looking at the responses of the responses. So I thought that was an interesting take because I thought it was important. And maybe we'll talk about this after the interview. I'll bring it back around because I do want us to think about the Kendrick Super Bowl thing. My whole premise was it didn't matter. It's literally, you can see that was the whole title. And then I did like a what do you call it? A video version of it that's on my YouTube channel. But I basically said it doesn't matter what you think about because everyone thought something and everyone felt like they had to go and say something about it. But I said it doesn't really matter like what you thought about the Super Bowl performance, whether you liked it, whether you loved it, whether you hated it, whether you thought it was boring, whether you thought it was revolutionary, whether you thought it was radical, whether you thought it wasn't radical enough, whether you thought it was like fake radical, whether you thought it was hypocritical, all the responses. I took in all the responses, and probably no matter who you are, you probably had a feeling that was one of the things I just said. So my point to that was it doesn't really matter. Like what you thought of it. It does matter. Everyone's opinion matters, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is what do you do with that information? What do you do next? Right? And I won't rehash my whole video. Please go watch it. It's the last video before this one on my YouTube channel. But the idea is if you didn't think it was revolutionary enough, well, we should be talking then about what artists need to do today that is revolutionary enough, right? Because he was an artist. No matter what you thought, he put out a political statement. You might not have thought it was clever enough, or you might have missed it, or you might be mad that people tell you missed something when you know you didn't miss it, but you didn't like it. Cool. It was a political statement on perhaps the biggest stage in the world for that kind of political statement. And as I mentioned in the article and in the video, we're losing opportunities to put art in front of the masses, especially art that might say something political or social commentary or cultural. So there's no denying he did that. Was it enough? If it was enough, then what do we do to act on that? If it wasn't enough, how do we make sure that moving forward, our artists can do more? Like, it should spark the discussion, but there's no denying that millions of people felt reinvigorated, the term I used, that hip hop can do this. It can spark conversation that hopefully leads to action, right? Because conversating about it by itself doesn't change anything. But people felt empowered and that maybe the art and the culture that we love and know has this power, an example of it was shown. And even if it wasn't to your liking 100% or whatever, there's no denying that people were reinvigorated. I don't want to lose that potential. I don't want to lose that momentum. So what do we do next? That's the whole point of my essay. Please check it out. What do we do next? And part of that is continuing these discussions. Part of that is forwarding people to this show so we could talk about what we've been talking about for years before Kendrick did this. But, that's on that level of hip hop as empowerment because it exists. It's out there in droves, and we shouldn't have to wait till the next Super Bowl to hear about it. Like, we can do it 365, 24/7. So that was my whole spiel. Rocking with me. If you like what I said, give me a thumbs up. And if you hate what I said, give me a thumbs up. So meanwhile, that's all stuff that you see on the newsletter. And so in this newsletter, we talked about a few conferences. So we're going to go through conference dates real quick, sort of a preview. Then we'll talk to Dr. Sconiers, who is a licensed clinical social worker, doctor of social work, and also started I use the word ecosystem for all my stuff, but sort of an ecosystem, a curriculum, and he does symposiums and workshops called Mental Hop. and we're going to talk to him about what he's doing to do this sort of thing, empowering people through hip hop, right? So that should be the talk. That should be the talk. I don't care who you are. That should be the discussions we're having after Kendrick. It doesn't matter if you liked it, didn't like it, loved it, didn't love it. It's what we do next. So yeah. Yeah. The thing I repeated multiple times, Andrew, was that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Did you like? It doesn't matter. Did you hate it? It doesn't matter. Did you think it was? It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. That was my refrain that I kept coming back to. It was like a preacher. So you'll see these in the newsletter. And it's important, especially if you're in this field, and please, again, share this show or share this newsletter with your academic friends. What I gotta say, I know that the academic folk or the people that, organize these conferences, not always academic, sometimes it's like community organizers or whatever, they want people to know about them. They want people to come. Some of them are able to pay, speakers or pay people because they charge a couple dollars for admission. Some of these things are perfectly free. Just walk up into college on the day that they just RSVP and go. But it helps, build up their visibility. And most of y'all are just bad about promoting. This is, y'all not club promoters. It's hard to promote a academic conference and such. But you want people to come to it. So I'm offering this opportunity that I'm putting them on a newsletter. I'm talking about them on a live stream. And this newsletter goes out to like almost 2,000 people now, by the way. And every time I put out a newsletter now, I get like one unsubscribe, maybe none. So it's a really good list of people that are really interested in this kind of stuff. So if you want people to know about your conference, what I'm getting to here is freaking tell me. I shouldn't have to find out about it because I follow you on social media. You should be coming to me and tell me, hey, Manny, we're dropping the call for proposals. Oh, cool. I'll tell everybody, but don't you want more people to know about the conference? Like, let me know. So I'm scolding some of y'all. That being said, forward this to the people that work in our field that don't know about what we do so we can actually get the word out. So here we go. Real quick. By the way, follow my man real quick on Instagram and you'll see why next week. Okay, here we go. So we have some call for papers that are happening right now. The four that I have in the newsletter, but there's also one more. Show and Prove in San Diego. Shouts to the great Imani Kai, who ran the Show and Prove conference for many, many years in New York, and then over there in University of California, Riverside. She has split the main big conference into some regional conferences. I'm supposed to be doing one of them in Atlanta. We're supposed to be working together on it, and we've been planning this for a long time. So I'm hoping to have kind of work with her for my own iteration of Show and Prove. But for right now, San Diego is popping off. So you'll see Show and Prove in San Diego is now looking for call for papers. This is the Show and Prove Hip Hop Studies Conference. It'll happen Saturday, May 31st in San Diego. Man, I'd love to go to San Diego. I've never been. I just hear so many good things. Keywords for this conference is roots and solidarity. They'll be hosting San Diego's first iteration, an interdisciplinary hip-hop studies platform for scholars across fields, hip-hop artists and practitioners, very important, community organizers and students to share their work and collectively develop research on hip-hop. It'll be held at the University of California, San Diego, and it's sponsored by the Department of Theater and Dance and the Black Studies Project. So that's that. They're looking for papers and I guess, presentations and such. And then they, until February 28th. So get on it. You have like 4 days. Next up, due March 1st, the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference. These are my people. This is my family, right? This is out of Rutgers University, the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference I've talked about for many, many years. I've been a mentor with this program. It's a wonderful, wonderful program where early undergrad students run the conference, right? And think of the wording: Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference. Hip Hop Research and Activism Conference. So let me say it right. Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference. So you got young people in the beginning stages of their college career already doing work that envisions hip hop as a vehicle for research, like doing real research, which is important, and activism. been going on for a few years. Shouts to the queen, mentor of it all, Dr. Lauren Kelly, been on the show, super friend. Last year we did it. Yeah, right. Oh, right. Andrew says right there. Last year at Fordham University, again, run by the youth. You know what I mean? But like early graduate students running it. They put out the call for papers. They put out the theme. They look over the proposals. They want students to be. This is student run, but also of the students. So the proposals got to be from students, high school to college ages, who are presenting their, and then I've gone to the presentations, and you got high schoolers and early graduate college students presenting brilliant presentations on hip hop, research, community, culture, dance, all the elements, all the things, but coming, and again, so of course, activism and social justice, all coming from, the young perspective. So again, we're not going to get into it, but when you're an older head and you tell me that like hip hop doesn't have that thing anymore, that oomph anymore. Well, maybe Kendrick does because he was on the Super Bowl. Nah, oh, baby, you missing a lot. You want to find out? Youth Research and Activism Conference, April 11th at Rutgers University. But the proposal submission is Saturday, March 1st. So again, right down the block. The theme is We Got Next, amplifying the power, possibility, and performance of youth voice. They seek youth workshops, and I'm pretty sure this means like high school to early graduate students in college. Youth workshops, presentations, and artwork that explore the role of youth voice and creativity in activating young youth communities in the fight for social justice and liberation for all oppressed communities. So you might be a teacher in the New York area. I mean, it's in New York, it's in Rutgers, New Jersey, so I wouldn't expect, to go across the country for this, although it's happened. Anyone you think is either a young person who has this kind of mindset that would like to try presenting to this conference, or perhaps you're a teacher that has students under them that delve into this sort of thing, please pass this along. Again, the newsletter is the easiest way to find all this stuff. I'm not going to put all the links in here. Just go to the newsletter link. It's on the bottom here. Subscribe. You can subscribe for the newsletter. It's free. And then just click on today's newsletter and you'll get all this information. Couple more, then we'll move on. Again, we have a great interview with Dr. S, about to rock, talking about hip hop and mental health education. We have a call for papers that's due March 3rd. Hip hop dances as fields of research and invention. What I promised you last year after the debacle that was the Olympics. Not a total debacle, but enough of one, that I would do my very best to make sure that the dance element of hip hop is represented and talked about here on the show. Another thing that, most hip hop media doesn't do, but I do. And this is an overseas conference. I want to say France. I don't know if it's in person or also like hybrid. But that's for you to figure out. It's not for me to figure out. I'm here to tell you about it. And this is Hip Hop Dancers as Fields of Research and Invention. This is due, what did I say, March, what? What did I say, March 1st? March 4th. March, here it says March 3rd. In my newsletter, I say March 4th. It'd be really, really bad for the last minute procrastinators who's like, man, you told me the 4th. And maybe because it's the 4th in France and it's the 3rd here because of time. I don't know. Just get it done if that interests you. Find out more information at the link below. And then the Hip Hop Ed Conference, our good friends at the Hip Hop Ed Conference, their theme this year is Hip Hop as Transformation, Empowering Education, Industries, and Communities, which sounds very much like what we do here all the time. We talk about exactly those things. So hip hop ed has been education kind of in their lane, but through that, they're really talking about expanding, how to help communities and bring equity, all the stuff that I cover here. So they're our good friends. Their proposals, their call for proposals is till March 24th. Due March 24th. Their conference is June 6th and 7th at Teachers College and Columbia University. I was there last year. I hope to be there this year. I'd like to do something with them. So we're going to try to see what happens. But I encourage you to go. It's a 2-day conference this year. They've expanded. And it's just a great place for really smart people talking about hip hop. Yes, academics, but it's also hip hop. So it's like not really all stuffy, and you know what I mean? These aren't people that are like hoity-toity, top of the ivory tower type people. These are the heads, brilliant PhDs, left and right, but it's the place to be. So check them out. And again, their theme is hip hop as transformation, empowering education, industries, and communities. The last one that I have is not here, so I just want to look it up real quick. I neglected to put it in this episode edition of the newsletter, but it'll be in the next one. This is the Rock the Bells Hip Hop Conference. They're out in Cali. This is their 18th annual conference. They're great. They're super dope. I've not gotten to one of them yet. I'd love to. I was just in California. I'll go back to California anytime. Their workshop proposal form is due, what did I say? March 4th. And this is also similar theme. I think that it's interesting that this year, especially because of the stuff we talked about before, with the change in political administration, a lot of people are fearful that hip hop, all this great stuff we're talking about falls under this umbrella, unfairly of, being something that the administration is looking down on, the DEI stuff. And you're going to find that these programs are going to be harder and harder to find and get access to. So, these conferences are vital right now, because what are we going to do, right? And that's literally their theme. What now? What now? Given today's social, cultural, and political climate, how do we respond to the question, what now? What now can be seen and heard as a statement, a commitment, a point of reflection, and a rallying cry to explore new possibilities. What now is about continuous learning, developing resilience, and cultivating meaningful relationships that inspire you and our communities. So again, an education platform in an education institution, but really talking about this wider cultural importance, social importance of hip hop music and culture. It's very much like a show called Hip Hop Can Save America. It's very much like years ago, someone started a show and maybe a newsletter and maybe a book that's coming out in April called Hip Hop Can Save America. And now everyone's like, oh my God, I hope you're right, because we need something. So I like to explore exactly how it can do that. These conferences are right up that alley. And so if you're watching this, you're interested in this, you're certainly interested in these conferences. So there you go. There's what's happening. And then again, if you look at the newsletter, you'll see that in March 23rd, 21st, 23rd, call for papers is over. It's too late. You missed it. You would have known about it if you had paid attention to me. But the Hip Hop Literacies Conference at The Ohio State University, being run by the Dr. Elaine, Dr. E, is going to be at The Ohio State. This is, their theme is hip hop feminisms, culture, care, and justice. And as we know, in these times, not only will marginalized, or whatever phrase you want to use, but Black and brown communities are going to be obviously hurt the most when that happens. Our women are hurt the moster. So it's very important to highlight, spotlight, amplify, signal boost the voices of all spectrum of folks that are doing hip hop work. All spectrums of genders and identities. And so hip hop feminisms, culture, care, and justice is a super important gathering. Trying to be there as well. It helps me get to these places when you contribute to the Patreon. I know it's like, hey, give me gas money, y'all. But yeah, it's like, give me gas money, except the gas goes in a plane. But yes, so help me out so I can get to some of these things, because I like to also come back and tell y'all about them and spread the words and the names, say the names, cite Black women. I know about the whole movement, and they're going to be there. And I'm the only one that is like, hey, as a journalist, I'll go and participate and then come back and tell you about it. So, and these, I'd love if I could be flued out, you know what I mean? But again, these are sort of grassroots gatherings and not highly funded. The colleges don't always support. They just kind of be like, yeah, have your little conference. But it's so important that we be there, which is why, like I said, I don't want to, nickel and dime y'all, but Patreon does help. Sometimes I've gotten a couple of these places because of the contributions you make, it's actually doing something. So thank you and support if you can. So that's happening March 21st to 23rd in Columbus, Ohio, at the Ohio State University. I might try to get up there. We got folk in Dayton I could probably hang out with. Dayton, Ohio. Shouts to Jay Webb. Shouts to Nikki. Shouts to my sister, my brother-in-law. Shouts to the Too Pretty Band. You know what I mean? I got people in Dayton. That's close enough. Maybe I'll find a way to work it out. But yeah. A couple of other ones, of course, April 3rd to 6th is Words, Beats, and Life. They're out in D.C. We've talked to Mazi Mutafa, the executive director of that organization. They're doing their annual festival April 18th to 19th in Hartford, Connecticut, the Trinity International Hip Hop Festival. Talked to my people there. They've been doing this for almost 20 years. They're going to be, what do you call it? Doing their annual conference. I like that one because it's an international vibe. They really do well in bringing folks from different parts of the world. So you get this international hip hop vibe at the Trinity International Hip Hop Festival. And so you save the date for that. Again, if you're in the New York area, I've been to it a couple times. And yeah, so that's happening. I haven't seen a call for papers on it. I'll double check on that and get back to y'all. It'll be in the newsletter, if anything. And our good folks there will be, we're setting up a date to have them come on the show here and talk about it too. So look forward to that. And I think that's it. Of course, later in the year, you'll see in November, I know that the Hip Hop Studies Conference will be coming back to Howard University. I've been there doing some stuff for the past couple of years. So they'll be rocking. All this stuff will be in the newsletter. And if you do this kind of work, tell me about it so that I know and can spread the word. And also hire me to keynote. Come on, let's stop playing around. So yeah, and then yeah, Andrew brings up a good point. There's also some non-hip hop, conferences where you can go to and present, can do work, hip hop. This is happening again in April. Andrew, our good friend, will be presenting on hip hop education and various subjects at those. So there's two places to be if you're kind of in this world. You can go be the only hip hop person in the room, which is what I like to be, or you could be in a room full of hip hop people, which is also what I like to be. So all of these things can happen if you just pay attention to the newsletter and pay attention to me, and you will find out all about these things. I said, let me get this all in by 9:30, but we chatted a bit, so I hope you're still rocking with me. Give your boy a thumbs up, share this video, let people know that we out here talking about hip hop culture in a beautiful way. And we'll keep it going. That's what's up. So there you go. Where will I be? I'll probably be at Rutgers. I'm gonna say almost definitely in April. So I'll be in the New York, New Jersey area again. Gonna try to link up with my man Silent Night, who you heard his song in the opening here. He's in New Brunswick area, and whenever I come to New Brunswick for Rutgers, we try to do a couple things. Last time I came, we did a show. I DJ, he spits. Sometimes I rock with the band called Fuse. And so like we've done a show in New Brunswick while I've been up there. We've done something in Brooklyn together. We were at I forget the places we did. It was a couple years ago. But anyway, so some hopefully possibilities that if I'm there for a couple of days, I'll be able to do something where, we DJ or we're somewhere doing something artistic, so you can come out to that as well. But Rutgers is probably happening. I'll probably be at Hip Hop Ed in June as well, back up top, back up north as I come back from Atlanta. But other than that, I don't know. I have a book coming out, and that's kind of a big deal. And I'm just starting to trickle out, information on it because it's getting closer, and I didn't want to really say too much until it's a thing. So I'm still not saying everything. So it's not a big announcement. I'm not doing all this stuff. But that being said, that may put me in some places as well. So obviously the newsletter, I'm going to give you my own personal, business as well. You can find more about me at mannyfaces.com. But the book is coming, and that hopefully, I want to do a book launch event. And I'll probably want to do it in New York and come back. I'll probably want to do one in Atlanta and one in New York. But again, funds and like where I could do it and timing. So I'm working on some things. So hopefully you'll see me out and about this summer. And if you have a place that you could bring me to and pay me to be there and expound on my expertise, then reach out anytime. Appreciate y'all. That being said, tonight, as I promised you, upcoming conference and CFP dates. Bong bong.
Bing bong.
And shouts to Nems. And I think Nems got a new album out, right? Gorilla Nems, my man Nems from Coney Island. Yeah, the guy that says, "Hey yo," you know what I mean? You know who we're talking about. Anyway, what was I about to say? Oh, so I did that. I did this. I did that. I don't know what I was about to say. I was about to say something else, and then I got distracted playing my sound effects. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll get into this. I gave you the promise. Now we're going to talk to Dr. S, Dr. Randy Sconiers, also a New Jersey representative. So let's get into that. We're going to talk with him about his work. He's a creator and curator of a again, I won't say platform, but I don't want you to think like, online platform. It's like a curriculum. It's like he'll talk about it. It's like symposiums and workshops called Mental Hop. And it's he's based in New Jersey, and he's done some work with schools, bringing sort of this idea of hip hop as an empowering tool for young people, as a mental health education platform. And obviously there's a few heads that we've talked to that do this kind of work. And I want to make sure that we have as much as possible, because this is a truly a great intersection, right? Hip hop and mental health therapy. Again, shouts to Dr. Raphael Travis, who I got to mention, one of our supporters, and also the author of The Healing Power of Hip Hop, which to me is the epitome of, the field of hip hop therapy, right? It's the healing power of hip hop. So follow his work as well, not to take any shine away from Dr. S. We're going to talk to him in a minute, but I just got to make sure we say, what up, Minister Jamila Gomez, peace and love. Oh yeah. Okay. So Jamila's rocking at the Hip Hop Literacies Conference. You're going to love it. I've been to one a few years ago, and Dr. E, Elaine Richardson, she runs it. She's just a gem of a human, and I know it's going to be a great thing. I'm hoping to maybe make it up there. So if you go, and I'm there, we'll definitely, link up. But yeah, it's a great conference. She's been doing it for a long time. Sometimes it used to be they just did it in New York a couple of years, and then back out at Ohio State, and it's very good. Oh yeah, okay, so sure, why not? Jamila's trying to get to the Ohio State, and there's a GoFundMe to try and get her there. As I was saying, as I'm trying to ask y'all to GoFund me, because we try to get there. So is Ms. Gomez over here. So listen, throw it in the chat. Can you throw it in the chat? Throw it in the chat. I encourage people to check it out and try to help you out if they can, as I would like that they help me out. And then we can be there together. We can take a picture and we'll be like, look, y'all got us here. Thank you. Look, we're doing great things. And it's all because of you. We can take that selfie together. Make the selfie happen. Hashtag make the selfie happen. Jamila, put your GoFundMe in the chat. Feel free. And if it doesn't let you, let me know and I'll do it during the interview. Let's get to it. I want to talk to Dr. Randy. Well, I already talked to Dr. Randy Sconiers. You'll know, because I can't change my clothes that fast, that this was a pre-recorded interview. But Dr. Sconiers, licensed clinical social worker, founder of Mental Hop. And we had a good talk, and I'm very excited to bring it to you. I'll be in the chat. We'll have some conversation about it, a little 2 cents thrown in during the conversation. And then we'll come back on the outro after that's done. And we'll pretty much close out the show, but I'll give you a couple more reminders and pieces of information in case you've tuned in since we started, because I don't want you to miss some of the stuff that we said in the beginning. Yeah, that's what's up. You know my name, right?
Many faces.
You sick for this one.
Let's get into it. My talk with Dr. Randy Sconiers about Mental Hop and mental health education and empowerment through the wonderful music and culture that we love called hip hop. Let's go. Dr. Sconiers, Dr. S, my man, how are you, sir? Thank you for your time and for joining me today on Hip Hop Can Save America. How you doing?
How you doing, Manny, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. First of all, I respect the hat game. You know what I mean? We got some New York love happening here on the hat side, Synergy. So I always like to point that out. Yeah, indeed. What do you call it? As I was saying to you beforehand, I'm a New Yorker, but I did the thing the New Yorkers do when I moved to Atlanta. So I'm down here now in the A, but I still walk around repping all the time.
Yeah, I'm a Knicks fan too, and every time there's a game, it's good in Atlanta. It's good to see the Knicks fans come out. Pretty much everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I've gone to a couple down here, and it's definitely thick down here in Atlanta. You can feel comfortable. Yeah, you can feel comfortable. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate the time. You're a Jersey guy, right?
Yep, born and bred right in Jersey. Grew up in Jersey City, and then
Okay.
moved over to Piscataway, like Central Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. I lived in Newark, as a matter of fact, for 5 years before I moved here. So I'm a Long Island guy. Lived in Newark for a few years, then moved to Atlanta. My dad's from Newark. My mother's from New Brunswick. So I'm Jersey as well.
You got roots.
I got roots for sure. So listen, let's matter of fact, it was the Piscataway connection. You've been on my list, by the way. I know your organization. I've seen it, for a while, and just me churning through this list and getting to all the people doing great things in this intersection of hip hop and, in your case, mental health therapy and working with kids and such. But it was the Piscataway connection that caught my eye and said, hey, maybe now is a good time to finally have this conversation. So if you could, real quick, kind of introduce yourself as you like to be presented to the world, and the mental health organization that you work with, and why the Piscataway thing caught my eye and why we're talking today.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Randy Sconiers. I go by Dr. S, and I'm the founder, owner, curator of the Mental Health Platform, which is a mental health education, healing, and wellness platform where we go into schools and work with young people, work with educators, do professional development, and really just promote the idea that hip hop is an instrumental tool for healing, wellness, and just overall growth and success, man. And it's like something that I love to do because my roots are in hip hop. So I found these two things that I'm so passionate about, and I was able to merge these things together once I became, entrenched in doing this mental health work. So I'm a doctor of social work, a licensed clinical social worker. I've been in private practice full time since 2013, and I specialize in working with young people and adults as well because I work with young people. Inevitably, I work with adults also. So it's a dope space to be in.
Yeah, indeed. Working with young people, you work with schools very often. The platform that you built, you're a speaker, but you also do workshops, you do assemblies. Give an idea of what mental health looks like, kind of in practice, especially in sort of a integration with school settings, for example.
Definitely. So I do what's called mental health symposiums. So I partner and collaborate with schools, high schools, middle schools, all the way down to elementary schools to bring in these symposium style conversations around the power of hip hop. And when we merge these two spaces together, hip hop and mental health, we have an opportunity to really, promote healing. So it's just like maybe taking 15, 20 kids, getting into a classroom and sort of like, it's like, to me, it's like a studio session. I create presentations and create spaces the same way I used to create music and the way I used to create songs and make beats. I do those same sort of things with mental health being the focal point. And we just have some great conversation and dialogue on so many different things that could benefit our young people. And hip hop is the focal point. So a school will reach out to me and they say, can you do this symposium? Or they could pick from a menu of topics. And then I go in, man, and we just have an amazing time just building with the kids.
Yeah. Let's I want to know some specifics, but I want to take it back a little bit to how we got here or how you got here. You said you came up, you're a hip hop guy, you did music, you're a music maker. What was sort of your path through the artistry pathway? And then how were you simultaneously, or at what point did you get into this line of work, decide to go to school for it? What led you in that direction? And then how did they come together?
Right. So I'm going to shout out my uncle because I was probably like around 8 years old, and my uncle at my grandmother's house, I used to go there. My parents would take us there. And I always remember him having these vinyl records spread all over the place. And he was a DJ. Tell him, shout him out. His name is Born. If he'll like that, I'll shout him out on this. And he had he had Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Crash Crew. Now I'm just a young kid, but the vinyl and listening to the music was always just intriguing to me. It captured me right away. And when it was time for holiday time and I could get something from my parents during Christmas, I asked for a radio, a boombox. So they gave me this boombox, and when you're a kid, you get this new thing. I set it right by my bed, and every night back in those days, 98.7 Kiss, WBLS were the radio stations. So I would go to sleep listening to, D Nice, KRS-One, Kim. And I think it was instrumental in just like the osmosis of soaking in the culture, because from there it was Video Music Box, and I just grew up loving it. So when from Jersey City, I moved out to Piscataway, and I was just walking down the street one day, and I met with these kids who they were from the town. So we started walking together, and turns out they were doing music. So now we're like 12, 13 years old, and we just got together and started doing music. They had a little studio in their crib, and we formed a group called Third Degree. So for everybody's listening, if you go online, go on YouTube, you can check out some singles we dropped called Nobody's Business and Travel Through the Darkness. And we linked up. At that time we were in Piscataway, so you guys know John Robinson, Science of Life. Uh, those are people as well. So we just ended up doing music and just making, albums and songs, and collaborating and doing underground, shows. And I think you had Silent Night on your show as well. So we came up
Yeah,
on that
that's my
underground
guy.
circuit as Third Degree.
Yeah, that's a
As Third
whole
Degree.
little
So
scene right around that area. That whole area, New
yeah,
Brunswick,
yeah,
Piscataway. He talked about it being sort of a stopping ground a lot of times for artists that would be coming through from like DC, Philly, New York, and then they'd
absolutely,
stop out in that area too. So y'all got to open up and do shows and that kind of thing, I'd imagine.
absolutely, yeah. And it was just an amazing time, and it really, like, it was part of who I am. It created part of who I am. So when I went ahead and what do I want to do with my life, moving forward, because I've always did music. And I was like, I want to help young people, I want to help kids. And then in 2017, fast forward 2017, I formalized the program called Mental Hop, and I just merged these two things together. And I was like, I'm going to bring hip hop, because I am hip hop. So I want to bring hip hop anywhere I go. So I was bringing it into universities, bringing it into schools, bringing it into therapy sessions, meetings, everywhere I went, hip hop was with me. So I formalized the program, and we've been moving ever since.
Yeah. How'd you get into the field school wise? Like, how did you go to become a licensed? Did you have another uncle that inspired?
No, I wish. No, I didn't actually. When I graduated high school, I didn't go to college right away. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Actually, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do music, and that was my passion. So, but it's just so interesting in Jersey, in our children's system of care. I just end up seeing this news clip of these young boys that were being neglected and abused. And at that time, I was working at Applebee's. I was like a cook, and I was, just trying to find my way. But when I saw that, man, it transformed my life, because I was like, young kids and young people, they don't always have a voice. And a lot of times there's a lot of mistreatment and things that go on. So I was just like, you know what I want to do? I want to see whatever I could do to help. So I signed up to be like a big brother, a mentor, and I loved it so much that I never stopped, man. I just kept going, and I enrolled in a community college, and I transferred to Kane University out here in Jersey, and got a psych degree, and then kept going, got my master's in social work, and just kept going and got my doctorate in social work. So it's been a journey that's been empowering, because I realized that I was the first person in my family to even go to college. So then I had the opportunity to just, I knew, like, I wanted to be great. And no matter what I did, I was going to put my best foot forward to do that. And I'm really grateful to be in this position to do what I do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's noble work. So it's, you could have, gone on and done anything, but obviously helping people, giving back and doing all that. Being able to incorporate music into it, the love of your, the other love of your life, right? I talk to a lot of folks that do this kind of work, either in education spaces, in mental health. A lot of our mental health professional friends have been on the show. But being able to like integrate those worlds is certainly a blessing, right? You talked about it. It's a great way to be able to introduce that, but it's also sometimes not a curse, but it's difficult because of the stigma, right? The reputation that hip hop has to the general public.
Right.
I always like to talk to folks who are doing this work because it wasn't, I'm sure, I'm speaking for you, but you'll tell me, it's something that's not always immediately accepted or welcomed into, traditional institutional spaces, in the health, ecosystem, in schools and educational spaces. So what challenges have you had in introducing these ideas, to these spaces? Has it gotten better over the years now that it's a little bit more, not mainstream, but it's a little bit more understood that this is a, culturally relevant pedagogy and culturally responsive, medical treatments? Has it gotten better? What have been some of the challenges, and how have you kind of worked around them? Because I know a lot of people like to want to get into this work, but they also know that they're at that starting, they're handicapped a little bit by what the general public tends to think of, hip hop.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I first started, in 2017, when I was introducing this program, I would take meetings with principals and superintendents, and there was a lot of like, hesitation. I don't know if we're ready for hip hop in our schools. And I was like, well, you're already too late. Because I was like, I was like, look, you can go to any young person that has AirPods in their ears, headphones on, and just ask them what they're listening to. And I was betting on the idea that most of the kids, no matter what school I went to, was listening to some form of hip hop or knew what hip hop was. So
right.
I think that adjacent, right. And this is how I showed up too. So that was another thing too. Like, I think when I walked through the door, they would see my name. And then when I walked in, I think they might have had their expectations of who was going to be showing up for this meeting. And here I'm showing up in a hoodie and some J's or Tims and just presenting myself. But the love and compassion and empathy that I had was undeniable. So now people start listening. And it was one of those things where I said, give me a shot. And when I got the opportunity, when I first started, I did pilot programs for completely free, nothing, because I believed in it. And I let the students sell it. So because they needed to have something that was outside of the traditional science, language, arts, social studies curriculum. And they were going back to principals and administration saying, we want more hip hop. So from there, it just continued to grow. So I think, overcome those challenges for anybody that's listening. Hip hop is undeniable. Like I think that when you look at a hip hop festival, when you look at the global impact that it's had, I think that, a lot of educational spaces. And then when I talk about institutions that are already putting it in place, I'm talking about whether it's Harvard, whether it's NYU, whether it's all these spaces, Columbia University, a lot of them start to listen even more because they want that evidence, right? And what's more evident than being around for 50 plus years, and still at the top. So it's helped tremendously.
That's a good point. Taking it back to the workshop that you've done and how it's evolved since you did first start, those first early meetings and how it is now, bringing it back again to the present, like, again, partnering with Piscataway, the school district, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, one of the school districts, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do these workshops kind of really look like now? Like, we're inside baseball. We can kind of picture it. We've probably been to some. We've seen it in action. But for someone that's like either in the field but not familiar with the intersection of hip hop in the field, or just a lay person that doesn't even expect any of this, what do we tell people about how this looks in practice? What is it? What do you do? What happens at a mental hop, workshop, symposium, as you call it?
Yeah. So for those who may not, for us that are in or understand hip hop, we understand what ciphers are. We understand what studio sessions are. We understand what it's like to be in those spaces where you're around a bunch of creatives. So what I do is I take that type of energy and bring it into the classroom or into any sort of space within that educational environment. There's no pens, there's no paper, there's no pads. It's really us and the presentations I present, which incorporate music. So we got sensory things going on. We got the visual, we got the audio, and then I take them on this journey. So each symposium topic, for example, we did something on winning the silent battles. And that was one that I just created where I know that men experience these silent battles that they never talk about. So what I'll do is we'll build this conversation. We'll focus on gratitude. We'll talk about vulnerability. But then I'll incorporate some conversations around, with some specific artists in mind, whether it's Cole, Kendrick, or I might even go back to rest in peace DMX. I'll pinpoint some artists who may have displayed some silent battles, and we'll have some conversations around what that might have felt like for them. And the kids get a chance to share. They get a chance to talk about why it's hard to ask for help as men sometimes, why it's so difficult for us to open up to each other. And then at the end, what I like to do is we do a cipher. So I'll ask some kids if they want to come up to the front, give their takeaways. But then there's always the kid that wants to get on the mic and wants to do their thing
Actually
too.
spit
So
something.
yeah. So
Why not?
I teach them that the cipher was that circle it symbolized wholeness. And when we come together and we can show that level of solidarity, a lot of positive things can happen too. So there's a lot of historical stuff that comes on. In fact, my first session, whenever I talk, is about the historical context of hip hop. So I'm actually teaching them the origins of the music as well. So it's not just about, and it's also culture. So a lot of times, the adults, I think they forget about the other components of hip hop. They know the music, but do you remember that breakdancing, art, graffiti? Do you understand those extensions? We're talking about entrepreneurship, mental health, those sort of things, education. Those are all extensions too. So we are always doing hip hop. That's how I look at it. Coming from KRS-One is like it's who we are,
Yeah.
So essentially the kids are doing hip hop pretty much every day through language, through their interactions, through how they connect with each other.
That's what I particularly, and I point this out to pretty much anyone doing this kind of work. That's like that extra bonus, right? Because you're not just using the music as a conduit, right? You're using the cultural capital, right? To say, hey, here's something we can talk about that we both understand. Just because I might be unk, you know what I mean, doesn't mean that I don't know what you're going through or what you're listening to, or how you write. So we have the specifics of the music as that common ground, right? But at the same time, you're also letting young people know, and the adults on the side who are looking in, but you're letting young people know that this is more than just music, that there is this cultural sort of underpinning to the whole thing. So at the same time, you're reinforcing the fact that hip hop can do these great things. You're also reinforcing to the young people that hip hop can do these great things.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? Like now they're learning this from you by learning it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's a process that's taking place. And I heard one of your other guests talk about it too. Like so many people will utilize hip hop for, they understand there's a bridge or it's an instrument that can be used to help kids or help people heal or teach. And I love that. But I love what your guest said. Like hip hop in itself has healing power. Like this, the pure essence of the culture has the opportunity to provoke and evoke healing. So the kids are learning that, and they've been listening to music all this time, but not really. They're seeing it now. They're listening, seeing it now, and feeling it now. And that to me is what is so powerful about hip hop.
I love it because I came up with probably somewhere around the same age, and same kind of deal where we listen to the music and we relate to things in the music, and it makes us feel a certain type of way. It makes us start thinking about some things, like those artists going through those battles. Like we recognize what they're going through, but we don't have really a chance to talk about it. We didn't coming up have a chance to talk about it, because if we went to therapy back then, we couldn't be like, hey, very nice, but not culturally aligned white lady therapist. Right. This song made me feel some type of way, and she's not relating to what we're doing. But the fact that now you can kind of fill in that void, fill in that gap. It was Dr. Norris, Dr. Norris, who had that quote. And I think that's all part of like the evolution of what we're talking about. It's the secret sauce of hip hop.
Absolutely.
Because it really, like I said, we've always known this, but we've never had a way to translate it into, the field the technical aspects of what we're doing, the cognitive behavioral therapy and the talk therapy. But now we like it's a tool, but again, the kids have been like, we were kind of self-healing off of it already. So we're just enhancing, or you're just being able to kind of just evolve that connection that young people have with art.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the name of your podcast. Hip hop has always been that culture that's been seen as this disruptive, and I mean this in the most positive, powerful way.
Absolutely. We
are the disruptors of the art of society. And I love it because now you've been doing some things in education. I'll argue some things not all good, but what I will say is hip hop now has this opportunity to go in there and shake some things up. And I think right now more than ever before in our society and in our world and in our country, we need more disruptors. And what better, who should be in a position to do that more than hip hop? You know, it could literally save America. So that's what we're doing. And I'm teaching kids that too. You could take this energy and you could really defy the odds. You could do anything that you want to do, and you can have hip hop be those wings to help you do it.
Right. It's the guiding force, because it's
absolutely,
its very existence is proof that the fact that it exists when it wasn't supposed to, when everything was set up against it, and the folks who, you know, were making the music, making the genre, making the culture, all that was against everything that was in place, all the systemic, racist and bigoted and, you know, all those systems that were in place to not let it happen, but it happened. And it continues to happen, and it continues to evolve. So that is an important point. And it brings me to the next question I had, which is a little bit, I don't like to be too timely, because, you know, in 6 months, in 6 days, who knows what the hell is going to change the way this stuff is moving. But we do have a new administration that has shown a desire to limit DEI programs or anything that has anything to do with, you know, creative, cultural, multicultural applications. Hip hop in schools, hip hop in mental health therapy has got to be on their list somewhere, if not specifically, because they may not even know about it, even though I suspect they do. But it's going to fall under that umbrella of, you know, anything cultural, anything Black, anything, you know, that's not what, you know, what we demand in schools, in healthcare, in nonprofits. We've seen, you know, already threatening of pulling funds and canceling programs. It's all fluid. It's all going to change. By the time this even comes out, it'll all have changed. By the time we're done talking, there'll be something new. But as someone who runs a program like this, you know, someone who might run a nonprofit, someone who might be in this field, what pause has it given you? How are you preparing for what might come?
Well, I had, even prior to this, Manny, I had a meeting today at a high school that is a high school in New Jersey that is in an area, a neighborhood that's predominantly white. And they invited me in to come talk about the program. And they told me, look, we're interested. We need to bring this program in. And what I realized is that the hip hop was founded, or was born from this youth movement. And I think what I would encourage people to do is tap in with the youth. You have to stay connected to the youth. So even though I am, you know, an adjunct professor, a therapist in private practice, I like being with the kids. Everybody talks about scaling, and I think that's dope. I think when people can grow their platforms and their programs, and I got interns and I got staff, but there's nothing like being in the booth. I still like to get in the studio. I have an MPC one that I love creating on. I still love the work. So what I would say to people is continue to know your why and stay passionate about the work and go to the source. The young people are going to sell that program. DEI stuff and what this administration is trying to do, our pushback is going to come from the people who they're trying to target, which is our kids. And in terms of this space I'm in, and as long as I got the backing of them, it's strength in numbers. We're gonna do amazing work. And so to answer questions, I'm not scared. Hip hop has never been a scared culture. We know the backlash is gonna come, but we're gonna withstand the test of time, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's what's up. Shouts to Dr. Chris Emden, who says just stay low and
Absolutely.
keep firing. Stay low and keep
That's what we
firing.
gotta do. That's what we
what's
gotta
up.
do.
I appreciate that. I appreciate bringing it back to the kids, centering the kids. Centering the kids is what this is all about. Not being those closed-minded old heads that we tend to be sometimes. No disrespect to anyone who sits in that space, because we all got to push back against what we don't like, what we're not tuned in for, what we don't think is the same thing. But as we talk about in the show, as I'm sure you do as well, there are gems to be found in the things that the young people are listening to. You might have heard me say this before. I say this all the time, but I say, how we'll often joke. Well, not even joke. We'll be serious. So some of us will be serious and say, we used to rap about selling drugs, and now all these kids do is rap about taking drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And as if first of all, as if the former was better.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's not are we comparing? But the implication there is that our young people are soft. Our young people are punks. Our young people are, they're not hard. They're not built for this. They're not. And I'm like, if my son or daughter is connecting to the music being made by an artist that speaks about self-medication, speaks about going through, having feelings, lucid dream type songs, right? And you're connected to that. I want to know why you're connected to it. I'm not going to just crap on your taste in music. I'm going to take you to a therapist, or I'm going to talk to you and be like, hey man, why does this song, I don't like this song. Lucid Dream's a bad analogy because that was a great song. But, I may not like the song you listen to where you're getting these, but, I don't like all this talk. But what is it that you're relating to? What is it that you're connecting to? And if I don't do that, if I just sit back and whitewash my hands of it, then I'm doing my own kids and certainly the community a disservice. You'd agree?
Absolutely. How does the music? So we know that music has always been driven by either capitalism, the business side of hip hop, where they're pushing certain narratives and certain images, and we know that, and we educate our kids on that too. So we want them to be mindful of what's happening as music has evolved over time. But we also know that nothing stays the same. So music, hip hop, specifically a reflection of what's going on in our society. There was a point in time where more people were definitely hustling and trying to get to the bag, and that was, but there were people using back then too. Now what we're seeing is that shift where there's definitely more vulnerability being expressed. There's definitely more issues around substance abuse coming to the forefront, just to make for that example. And why is that connecting with our kids? What is that saying about where our young people are at right now? So we have to do a good job of, it's crazy because we're in hip hop, but are we good listeners? We hear music all the time, but are we good at listening to our young people and listening to this generation? So if we're going to practice active listening, I got to tap in with that young people and say, why is this resonating with you at this point in time? And what can I do to help you work through? Because listen, some of the stuff we listened to back in the day, the young people today would be like, yo, you was coming at me about what I listened to, but y'all was listening to Mobb Deep. Can we play the Infamous album from beginning to end? So I'm like, yo,
I use that example all the time. I'm like, you do remember that Mobb Deep's gunshots used to make you levitate, you know what I mean?
Rest in peace, P. He'll throw a TV at you. So when you understand, but again, when we talk about the level of vulnerability or growing up in certain environments, how it creates a level of anger and frustration, and music has been that place for them to be able to express what they're going through too. So it's all about connecting and making the connections. So I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. Like I said, I often have to say, and advocating for the same kind of thing, because we sit and lament that it's not on the radio, it's not in the mainstream anymore, and we don't have. Yeah, okay. I mean, okay, it's not. It's probably not gonna be ever again. There was a time, we came up during that time when you'd hear KRS-One, like I said, You Must Learn on the radio. You'd hear
Right.
5% Nation talk. You'd hear Public Enemy political activism on the radio during the day. Yeah. And then it stopped for whatever reasons.
Why? Right. Right.
But, and I always say, like, with any art form, they're just going to promote the least common denominator. Most big movies are violent action flicks, but you still got documentaries. You still got art house flicks. Like, they still exist. So now that the hip hop, the business side that you mentioned has become this, capitalistic, juggernaut, you're just not going to get that. There's just like in any other genre of art, you're not going to get that on the forefront. But it is up to us, certainly the elder statespeople of the culture, to make sure that we talk about all of this. We remind people that other things exist. We don't dismiss what the young people listen to, because that from there we can get those gems. Don't we want our young people to have that little opening that we couldn't get, 20 years ago, that we couldn't, that no one knew how to get out of us? Absolutely. So if the music gives us that, at least it gives us that.
Well, I always said that we have to, from a mental health standpoint, as a clinician, I tell people, you're going to have to dig for your healing. You want to heal, it's going to take some work, right? So you're going to have to dig it in the crates, DITC.
Right.
Let's go back to the essence. And I try to get young people to do that too. In my symposiums, I'm introducing them to certain artists, or talking to them about certain artists that maybe they heard about on the surface, but again, it's not on the radio like it used to be. So now with technology, there's no reason why you can't go back and listen to a Illmatic or It Was Written, or go back and listen to an Artifacts album. Or I love to see our generation still doing it. So go back and listen to a Smith & Wesson, The Shining album, and understand like how the art was put together and how it was why do we respect it so much? And same reason why, because I'm working with kids, I listen to what they listen to. At least I got to put an ear to it so I can still connect it to them. It might not be on my menu on an everyday basis, which is perfectly fine, because that's what hip hop allows us to do. But at the end of the day, I'm going to expose them to the roots and the essence of how this music started. And there's a lot that could be gained just from doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the, what do they call it? Knowledge transfer, right? Like back, because that's each one teach one. Like, this was how we learned hip hop. That's how
I'm
we
learning
came
from
up
them.
with it. Yeah. So that's how it's got to be continue. So I love it. I think that these areas are great conduits, or great arenas for this kind of work. So I salute you for finding a good way to bring these worlds together. I guess then what would be next? What do you continue to do with the platform? Obviously more schools, more interactions. Is there is that it? Or is there something else you got brewing?
Yeah, more, obviously, definitely more more symposiums, more collaborations with programs. And I do some work. I have a partnership with the Juvenile Justice Commission here in New Jersey. So I love the fact that I can actually bring mental hop into these spaces and still connect with young people who may be serving time or may have been through some difficult times, and still have conversation, because healing, as you know, a lot of our systems traditionally haven't been so much about rehabilitation. So the fact that they're allowing me to come in and they're saying, let's do some partnerships, that's a big deal too, because just like education, just like our criminal justice system, we need to sort of be disruptors in these spaces. And ultimately, man, when I got into this work, my dream is to have the Mental Hop Academy, because I want to create an entire school that's founded on the idea that hip hop can not only educate, be an amazing educational space or instrument for kids, but opportunity to learn just based off the pillars of it alone. When you're talking about arts, when you're talking about technology, you're talking about science, you're talking about dance, you're talking about language, you're talking about writing, and of course those extensions like we talked about earlier. We need more hip hop schools, more hip hop institutions. I know at the college level we're seeing more programs and degrees along those lines. But I'm talking about middle schools and high schools where a kid can say, I want to go to the Mental Hop Academy and get my education. And we have the opportunity to teach them in an entirely different way.
That's what's up. Definitely goals. That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you let us know as you make progress towards that. I'm sure you will. It's been really interesting to hear about your work, your program, especially coming from Dirty Jersey, which I always love my
Absolutely.
Jersey folk. So
Absolutely.
a little bit of semi hometown, but home area love. Obviously you travel around if need be, so don't think that it's if someone is going to put you on a plane and bring you somewhere, I'm sure you'll go.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. I'm hit me up, because I'm definitely open to, and I've already been able to travel some places too. I'm licensed in New Jersey, but I'm also licensed in Florida as well. But I hit the road, man. It's like grassroots, work that I still love to do.
And I think it's important, again, in these uncertain times, politically, we don't know if funding for, schools is going to be cut back. Funding for nonprofits is going to be cut back. So we have to look at our community organizations that may get funded locally. We have to ask our, organizations that might be funded by a foundation as opposed to, federal or, federal funds, to start looking at these ideas, start looking at programs like yours as ways to help out the community. Because if they're really pulling all these programs from the schools, they're really not in the schools to begin with, as you talk about. Like, that's why you have to come into a school, because they're generally not in the school to begin with. You're fulfilling a void. And if now you can't do it in the schools, that void is still a void and needs to be filled. So we would ask our community partners to look at programs like yours that aren't tied to a school, that you can go around and do these things. So I would encourage anyone listening, I'm sure we have some folks that are in that kind of world, to look for programs like yours. And with that said, do all of the end of interview things and tell people how to follow up with you and learn more about the program and yourself.
Absolutely. And I want to mention what you're doing, Manny, is actually instrumental too. So you're bringing us to these spaces, and collaboration and connection is how we do it. I mean, how long did it take to set this up? You hit me up, I responded, and boom, we're here. I think we don't have to make it difficult, right? If we connect and we build, we could do some amazing things. So I want everybody, you can hit me up on Dr. Sconiers Speaks.com, and I'm sure Manny will have everything posted. Hit me on Instagram at Mental Hop. And just tap in with me. There's no dumb questions. I respond and engage with everybody that hits me up, and let's build. Let's do some work together, whether it's more podcast interviews or whether it's coming into schools or just empowering other people that might want to do this work too. It's not my culture. I've never been one of those people to hold back. So I'm open to sharing. It's art at the end of the day. So I appreciate you, brother. And thank you for having me, and much success to you as well. And everybody that's listening there.
I appreciate that appreciation. I try to make it back up north a few times a year. Next time I'm up there at New Brunswick, matter of fact, Rutgers, they do the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference every year. Dr. Lauren Kelly up there. I'm one of the mentors in the program, so I'm always there.
Dope.
So assuming that doesn't see any troubles this year,
listen, Manny, we are not going to allow what's going on at that level to stop us, and we got to have conversations about it. But we're too strong, man. We're not stopping. And in spaces like this, anything's possible, and we could do it. So
I like to say that it's probably a really good time to have built a brand called Hip Hop Can Save America. So,
absolutely, you are in alignment, right on time.
I was pretty prescient about this.
You were a prophet, and you are at the end of the day. So
well,
we're here,
I appreciate that. It couldn't happen without the work of the folk, and all I'm doing is amplifying and signal boosting y'all work. So together we will continue to do that. You have anything you need to spread to the people? Of course, we have a newsletter that goes out to a lot of people. If you have special events or anything like that, we'll get it out to the people, and then of course they can run this back and reach out to you as well. So thank you for your time. We'll keep in contact, and I wish you all the best.
Peace.
Yes, indeedy. We wrote graffiti on the bus. My man, my mellow Dr. S. Randy Sconiers, Dirty Jersey representative, dropping all the gems about hip hop, mental health education, that combination. In the mighty words of the great Positive K, a good combination. A good combination. Shouts to Dr. S for checking in. Again, you can check him out, drsconierspeaks.com. Where you can, there was some chat in the chat that, bring him here. Okay, hook it up, hire him, get him there, talk to your peoples, make it happen. Have hip hop will travel. So here's how you reach him directly at drsconierspeaks.com, all spelled out. Hey, you can't see the top of my little screen thing there. What if I go to this screen? Oh, you can't see it there either. Huh. I gotta fix that. You gotta be able to see the thing. All right, whatever. You know how to spell. Doctor, spelled out, Dr. Sconiers Speaks. Also, his platform, Mental Hop. You can find it there, mental-hop.com. You see it there on the screen as well. And if you just want to go to Instagram, it's instagram.com/mental hop. Just look up Mental Hop on Instagram. I'm sure you can slide into his DMs and find out how you can bring that program to your school or to your whatever it is that you do, your community organization, your after school program, whatever. So shouts once again to Dr. Sconiers for checking in with us on Hip Hop Can Save America. Honestly, as you now probably figured out, who's our new friend? Al. Where you at, Al? Al Pete, Mr. Al Pete, as you now probably have figured out already, the most enlightening and informative and inspiring and educational hip hop live stream program in the world. There is also a newsletter that goes, why did I say it like that? Newsletter. It's a newsletter. I sound like the Stewie from, white. It's white people, Stewie. You know how a Stewie drop? Look, I'm gonna play this for y'all. Where is it? Oh, damn it. Come on. There it is.
All right, men, your mission tonight is to stave off the invading forces of the Tooth Fairy. SpongeBob, you watch the east. Starscream, you take the west. And Manny Faces, you take center patrol since you have many faces.
Anyway, thought that was fun. Cool Whip, there it is. So there's a newsletter that goes along with all this. So if you found this to be enlightening, informative, educational, and just, delicious in its presentation, the newsletter is where you want to be. I do these podcast live streams once a week, Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern. I usually put the interview, and I will, in this case, put it out on the audio feed. So if you listen to audio, some of the people who listen to audio feed never watch the show. Some of the people who watch the show never listen to the audio feed. So I have it in both places, so I'll pop it on there as well. But the newsletter is like a whole mishmash of great information like this. So honestly, if you just liked that, you will love this. There's no reason in the world you shouldn't be on the Substack. I'm gonna write it in the thing because some of y'all need to click links and don't want to type things. Mannyfeces.substack.com. Okay. You can also go to hiphopcasaveamerica.com and all the links are there. We also have a Discord server. We're on Discord. So that's another place to hang out with us in between episodes. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's a really cool place to go and like a community. It's like imagine a Facebook group, but like not open to the world. So you don't get all the crazy people. And I don't mean to be disparaging when I say crazy. I know that term, we shouldn't be saying it like that, but the crazy people. We have so it's a closed community, and we share information, and we have constant contact and chats during the day. And Andrew Wang has been great about sharing new music. Like people always like, I don't like any new music. Yeah, but you're not really looking. And so we'd be like, well, it should be handed to me. I'm like, no, you should be looking. But okay. Andrew's like, all right, fine. If you want me to hand it to you, I'll drop some. We have a new music channel. So the Discord server is pretty cool. Check that out. And yeah, and so we have the newsletter. So definitely sign up to the newsletter. Thank you. It said who said it was a great interview? Great interview. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Flo Story. Thank you, Dr. Travis. Thank you, DJ Hoodwink. Thank you, everyone who and by the way, I do want to point out on the Discord server, if you're in the Discord ecosystem, our friend DJ Hoodwink, who we link to, so if you follow me, you'll be able to follow him, does have a great Discord server sharing all kinds of music and does it in these sort of channels, right? These it's like themes, so there's a whole I'll look at it right now. Matter of fact, can I maybe I could put it up. Let's see, hold on. It's the Healing Power of Hip Hop Discord server. Well, let me show y'all what we got going on. Hold on. If you're ever interested, and if you don't know about Discord, you should. It's pretty cool. I can do this. Look how we get funky, right? So here we're looking at, see, I don't want to see this stuff. I gotta work on this. No. Oh no, I blew it. Okay. So here what you have, this is the healing power of hip hop Discord, and there's all kind of music in here. There's self-esteem tracks. There's music about resilience. There's music about growth. There's music about community. There's a bunch of lives. He's always posting lives. People doing like live sets. He's got a live radio station on the interwebs. So you have something that's literally, and again, if you go to my Discord server, Hip Hop Can Save America, and you go to share music. Look, all these new music tracks, all this new stuff that's been put up here. Me, Andrew Wang, a couple other people jump in there. So it's like, don't tell me you don't know where to go. Matter of fact, on top of that, if you're subscribed to the newsletter, a few episodes ago, I think it was like my 2015 roundup, I listed a bunch of people that actually put out on their Substacks or on their email list or on their whatevers, new music drops like every week. Like Don Will from Tanya Morgan puts out new music drops every week. So many people put out stuff so that you don't have to like go hunting and find it. But also, and I said one time on the radio, I was on the radio once, in a video, I said also like use Spotify to your to your advantage. I found a great song. Oh my God. Cause like I said, I DJ R&B a lot. And I found this great song I'd never heard of. I don't know the person, I don't know the lady, cause it was on Spotify. I was doing some work and I was like, let me put on some music in the background. And I went to Spotify and it was like, discover for you. Cause it knows me and it knows what I like. And I've trained the algorithm pretty well. And I'm playing some song. I'm like, this is kind of fun. And then there was one song came on and now I love it. It's one of my favorite songs. Never heard of it before. It's like from 1980 something. And I'm like, yo, this is my jam. Because I'm using the algorithms to my benefit. So we can share music. If it's about music, we can share. So here's some things that we do. So we have the newsletter. I get so excited because all this stuff exists. Thank you, Al, Mr. Al Pete. Subscribe to the Substack. Appreciate you. Looking forward to the content. Salute. And this was your first time watching the show. So I hope I did you proud. I hope I recognize that y'all could be doing anything, in the world, spending your time. It's late if you're an East Coaster. It's almost 11 o'clock. You vibing with me. I appreciate it. It's so good that you're here. Shout out to Jermaine Charles, my man, my mellow. What up? Good to see you. Yeah. Interesting. So cool. Glad to see you. We should talk. So that's that. We got the newsletter. We got the Discord. If you're in it, hold on. Before I go any further, on the topic of mental health and hip hop, I want to shout out. I'm gonna to my good friends at Rhythms of Healing. So during the interview, Dr. S mentioned an earlier interview that I did with James Norris, Dr. James Norris, who, along with Dana Mason, started an organization called Rhythms of Healing. And again, it's the future of healing through cultural connection. So it's another example of this. Now they're LA based. So you got Sconiers in New Jersey working with schools. You got Rhythms of Healing out on the West Coast, right? Doing their thing. Let me make this bigger. And what's dope about this is that they've put together a counselor certificate program. Okay. Again, get on the newsletter. The newsletter link is right here. Ding, 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 ding. So, this is all the stuff you're missing if you're not on this newsletter. But I interviewed him before. He talked about this. Two things I love about Rhythms of Healing. Number one, a lot of his work, he's also a licensed clinical social worker, but also works with adults. And we spend a lot of time talking about hip hop as a great conduit for mental health therapy, for uplifting kids. And it is 1000%. If you just listen to, I got a whole, I think one of the playlists on my YouTube channel is all the interviews I've done with someone like mental health. It's like a themed playlist. Oh my God. This is what I'm talking about. Like when we say save America, if you're talking about save the kids, and from the trauma that we're dealing with and coming out of pandemic and whatever this administration is whatever wrath that this administration is going to unleash upon our children, especially from already marginalized communities, just going backwards in time, erasing all the movements for equity and inclusion and belonging and diversity. Not that they have succeeded, not that America was even great yet, you know what I mean? But certainly greater than it had been in that these advances had been made over decades that they're trying to literally, roll back. So all of this trauma on our kids, on our children, and just by the examples that I'm being given and showing you, these are brilliant, untapped solutions. So when I read a book which I did, called Hip Hop Can Save America, and the subtitle is Inspiration for the Nation from a Culture of Innovation. Oh, did I put bars in my subtitle? Of course I did. But the point is, here's going to be a bunch of examples like the type you heard tonight. But the idea is that holistically, hip hop represents a way to tackle all of these individual problems. And what we see is we see children that are not doing well in educative spaces. We're seeing children not doing well in mental health settings. And we've tried everything. We've tried traditional stuff. We've tried Eurocentric stuff. We've tried, some progressive radical stuff. We've tried some hippy dippy stuff. What we haven't tried enough of is hip hop. And sometimes it's direct, it's the music, it's the actual hip hopness. But sometimes it's just the hip hop mindset, right? Shouts to Toby Jenkins. It's the hip hop mentality. It's the hip hop ethos of remixing things in a way that can connect to people like no other social movement has ever done in history. So what are we doing if we're not actually using hip hop to solve some of these problems? Rhythms of Healing, again, one of the things they also do is they talk to the adults. They use this therapy settings for adults because, as Dr. Norris said to me in the interview that we did, if we're not dealing with our trauma, how could we help our young people dealing with the trauma? We haven't resolved our own trouble. And by we, I'm mainly saying him and communities of color, not me personally, but yeah, adults in general. Like, we got trauma, and how are we supposed to help with our kids if we haven't resolved our trauma, right? So that's one wonderful angle that I think Rhythms of Healing does. And then secondly, it's the counselor certificate program. And I'm bigging them up. I'm part of the advisory board. I love what they're doing. And I wanted to make sure y'all knew about it because this is aimed at counselors. So if you're in the counseling space, obviously you could take this certificate. It's a counselor training program. It's, quote, an inclusive, groundbreaking opportunity for mental health professionals, but dig it, teachers, social workers, and community leaders from all backgrounds to harness the power of hip hop, wellness, and culture to inspire healing. And I would actually say parents too. I would say parents too, right? So this is a course. It's not expensive. I think it's less than $100. Right now, there's a discount code, Black History 25, in celebration of Black History Month, that you could actually go and purchase, get a discount. That offer expires March 15th to go through this certificate training of how to kind of look at hip hop as a tool. And when I say tool, I don't mean a hammer that you bash somebody, right? A tool could be like our hands when we sculpt something beautiful, right? Our hands are tools. I don't like the word tool because sometimes there's negative connotations, like we're using hip hop. Hip hop's a tool. No. It's a vehicle. It's a channel. It's a embodiment. Whatever. It's an ethos. Whatever you want to call it. But this tool, when we craft this tool with love and intention, and appreciation and understanding and respect for the culture, then that tool is able to help save lives, save them. And by extension, improve society, uplift humanity, and potentially save America. And yes, the world. I know. Let's do Hip Hop Can Save America first, and then we'll do the world. Right? I'm on it. I'm working on it. It's next. The way you can help make it happen. Any of this resonates with you, please consider donating to the Patreon. Patreon.com/MannyFaces. Appreciate you in the comment. We got the culture they can't erase. 100%. Mind and body tools for trauma. Brilliant. We hear about this all the time. Mind, body, and spirit, and how to kind of work these things into the mix. There are so many people across all kinds of demographics and ways and walks of life and backgrounds where hip hop is a connective tissue. It's a connective force. Dr. Sconiers, Dr. S said, you don't want hip hop in the schools. Like, that's your hesitation? Hip hop's more in the schools than the schools, like the curriculum. Like, what are you talking about? Hip hop's all up in the schools. So either you channel it for their betterment, or it will channel them for their consumerism, right? I think it was Jamila in the thing says, this is all the music that's being pushed. That's all being, and we do this all the time. Exhibit was just on Matt Hoffa doing his exhibity thing where he says, like, no one respects hip hop anymore. It's all garbage. What we did, we were. And it's like, yeah, okay, we know by now, OGs, We know that everything is not what it was. We know that the machine pushes the music and it's toxic and whatever. You're not going to change it. I've been saying this for years. It's not going to change. You're not going to have, conscious music on the radio. Kendrick Lamar is probably the biggest rap star globally besides Drake, and now possibly on top of Drake in the last 10 years. His songs are anthems. They were pop hits. They've gone pop to the point where everyone knows we gonna be all right. Like that was an anthem. They Not Like Us is one of the biggest songs of the decade. His songs aren't on the radio. If the greatest, lyricist of our time to some, if a political cultural figure that still makes pop music, he is Public Enemy in that he makes music that's saying something, yet it's popular and it's not on the radio. You won't hear it on the radio. His song I was not on the radio. It was for a brief flash, but then it was gone. If he can't do it, no one can. It's not going to happen. Get over it. But when you say it's all that's being pushed, that's because we're not pushing also. Point blank. Exhibit could say it's all garbage. In that entire interview, he didn't name one person, one artist that isn't garbage. Garbage is subjective, but you know what he means. He means respects the culture, respects the art form, respects the craft. Does nobody exist? Is there nobody worth giving your 2 cents, putting your spotlight, giving your stamp of approval? No, so it's up to us. So we have to push it, and we can do it by here. We can do it by joining these programs like Rhythms of Healing Counselor Program. We could be joining these Discords. We could be following the newsletter I got. If we're the only ones doing it, then we're going to be the only ones doing it until everyone catches up and joins up. Word, King Kunta, another good example. Anyway, so, yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, Andrew brings up Doechii. Like, first of all, right. Like Exhibit could have been like, yeah, like Doechii or like Kendrick, like fine, whatever, basic. But Doechii, people, all right, here's the rant, because I always want to rant it in the show. I'm going to end it very soon. I want you to come to see me if you're in Atlanta. If you're in Atlanta, don't go anywhere. If you didn't hear, I'm going to be doing something live and in person with my man John Robinson from Science of Life. He's going to be there, and we're going to be there together. The rant for the day on Doechii, since you brought it up, Andrew, and Exhibit being on Math Hoffa, and people saying it's hopeless because like the industry pushes all this music. Doechii's been grinding for 4 years. And anyone who just came across Doechii is saying, oh, what a breath of fresh air. So dope, super dope. And yeah, 100%. And like, she harkens back to that old boom bap kind of real lyrical rap, real storytelling, stylish fashion. Like Doechii's dope. I love her to death. And they're like, man, finally someone comes out with, something that resonates with me as these are older hip hop heads usually that are saying this. And I'm like, Doechii's been rocking for 4 years, grinding. People knew about her. I went back on my Facebook, I think in like 2022, someone mentioned her when we were talking about like women artists that are doing dope work. And we mentioned like, Cyrock and Rhapsody and No Name and Chica. And, we're just putting out names, and I didn't know Doechii at the time. And they were like, yeah, and da-da-da, and Doechii and da-da-da. So for all these years, Doechii's been rocking. So for someone today to be like, finally, I'm like, yo, you wasn't really like talking her up for 4 years. So we have an OG on the platform talking about nobody respects hip hop anymore. And you don't say except for Doechii, which is the easy answer because she's out now. But what would also be dope if you had said Doechii 2 years ago when you were also complaining that hip hop wasn't the way it was supposed to be. So don't tell me the excuse that the industry is just pushing, because we have voices and platforms that aren't pushing back. So that's what we're here to do. Anyway, that's my rant for the night. I appreciate y'all for coming in. So once again, the newsletter, patreon.com/mannyfaces. Listen, no one's going to pay me to do this. Lord knows I'd be talking too much junk. So if you can help me out, help me out. If not, it's all good. The newsletter is more important because I can get sponsors there. Maybe that could bring in a few dollars. The more people that sign up for the newsletter, the better. Plus, you get valuable information. Atlanta, I'm in the house live. Can you believe this? This is pretty cool. I'll do the big screen. Let me do the big one. Pod Jam ATL, a live podcast experience in 4 days, 14 hours, 8 minutes, and 56 seconds. It's weird. 3 podcasts live. So basically what I did today with an interview with Dr. S, I'll be doing live in person with my man, my mellow, John Robinson. John Robinson is a dope MC. He's been doing music for a very, very long time. He's also a producer and a beat maker. He's also an educator. He's an author, a teaching artist. He's written academic books regarding hip hop in the classroom. We'll be talking about all of these things. We'll probably, eke a performance out of him. This is live, my first time live and in person doing I've moderated panels, I've done discussions and such, but the first time that Hip Hop Could Save America, the brand, will be live in front of a studio audience. So check it out if you're in Atlanta. If you're not, please tell people. If you like any of what I'm saying, and if you want me to shut up and go to bed, either way, if you want me to talk more, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. If you want me to shut up and it's time to go to bed, give me a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. And either way, I'll be wrapping up. Just reminding people might have come in late. This is a big deal for me. We're doing a live show. It's kind of a proof of concept. I'd like to do more. I'd like to, God, we can go on tour one day. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like if I just went on tour and came to your city, that'd be super dope. So I'd love to do it. But this will help. So, come out to Atlanta, show your face. It's free. Tickets are free. They're limited though. And there's 2 other podcasts in that time frame. So I'd really so tell your friends in Atlanta, yo, even if they be yo, my man Manny's doing a show, go see it. Here's the link, podjamatl.com. So we can get our people we do so good that be let's do it again and just have Manny. And not that the other ones are fine. That's fine too. But we just come on, we're looking out for ours. All kind of cool stuff on the calendar, not just the conferences, although like I said, there's a lot of conferences coming up. So New York, New Jersey, you got the Rutgers Conference, the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism. You got Hip Hop Ed. In March, you got Ohio State University Hip Hop Feminisms. You got Rock the School Bells in California. I think they're Bay Area. You got Show and Prove in San Diego. Yeah, it was really dope. So we'll have all of these things happening. Speak of the Saint, my man John Robinson in the building. Did you just catch? I plugged our event. Shouts to the great John Robinson, JR in the building. And you got the shout out during the interview with Sconiers. He mentioned Science of Life, of course. John Robinson, super dope. So we'll see him live and in person here in Atlanta. And again, all these conferences that we talk about is the kind of places where, John's work has been highlighted and where we kind of, germinate these ideas that turn into things like his books and his work. I have a book coming out. My book will be out in April. It looks like late April. I know I keep drip dropping and teasing. I'm going to do a whole video, a whole show about the book. So I'll tell you about that soon. It's getting there. We're almost there. I'd like to do a launch party, probably one in Atlanta and one in New York, probably in May or June. I'll be in New York for June for the Hip Hop Ed conference. Maybe something around that time. It won't be a launch. It'll be kind of, a couple months after, but maybe. So we'll see. So keep an eye out for that. All the stuff is on the newsletter. The Discord I told you about. And that's about it. Hey, y'all watch Josh Johnson? Funny comedian, man. Really dope. I want to recommend his latest set. I don't know if you know this guy. He's been on The Daily Show. And but he does he's big on the interwebs, and he does a lot of snippets from his sets. And he just did a 50-minute set, a show in Asheville. I saw him. He was in Atlanta last year, and I actually went to see his show. And this is gonna be confusing for a second. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna put it over here. And I know I talk fast. I just want to tell you everything before you leave me. So maybe I should just slow down so that everything's cool. You won't leave me. You'll stick around for a few more minutes. So this was me and him last year. Look at us, like best buds, checking it out. Look at us. It's my homie. He was taking pictures outside the club, and I don't really usually do that. It start off, I don't usually, but yo, I like the guy. He does great work and he's super funny. So I don't know if you saw this. This is his 50-minute set. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I thought we would show him some love and encourage you guys to check out. It's titled Why Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl Halftime Show is America. And he does go into the Super Bowl and Kendrick's performance. I will play a clip from it. I don't want to ruin it or spoil it, but if you haven't seen anything, this is why this guy is probably, as far as I could tell, one of the most brilliant comedic minds of our time. And I know that says a lot because there's a lot of good comedians out there in the world. And, but sort of like on a George Carlin level of social commentary mixed with, him, not in delivery, not in style, but if you know what I'm saying, Let's play a clip real quick and watch it together.
And that is how people sometimes, prefer their hip hop, prefer their protest. Why can't you just do it sedated? Why can't you just tone it down a notch, right? And then he plays Not Like Us. And people lose their minds. I loved him. I loved him playing it because of what he said when he started it. 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music. They tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence. That's wild. If you really think about those lines in any context outside of the Super Bowl, outside of Drake, the song, Not Like Us, everything, they still stand all on their own. How many of us feel like we're in a rigged game? And it was beautiful to watch Not Like Us get played on that world stage, Drake tried. He tried his best. That dude tried his damnedest. Not only did he try, that dude went to Australia. Not only was he not in America, he was under the earth. This man went under earth to his credit. I'm not acting like he's not a big artist. I'm not acting like he doesn't have an album dropping this weekend. I'm saying like this dude went under the earth to do an arena show just to make sure at least these people aren't watching the Super Bowl. Can you imagine? You go to that Anita Max Win tour. You paid extra for tickets. You pretty close, and you get a little curious. Drake on stage. What is that? What is that? Get him out of here.
What I love about it's funny, but like he actually does go into like some of the symbolism and some of the stuff that was happening in there, and it's actually a smart breakdown of, you get some people that were like, oh, I don't really know what he was trying to do, what he's trying to say, in the Super Bowl performance, the Samuel Jackson stuff, the pageantry, the everything. So I'm not gonna play that part. I want you to actually like watch the whole set. He gets into it a lot, and breaks down that stuff. And it's actually, it's great for general population audiences that don't necessarily know a lot about, hip hop and don't know a lot about like the beef and, what Kendrick was trying to do. And it's done in a funny way. And it's funny. It's a great set. He's a good dude. I encourage you to go see him live. Really smart stuff. And funny. So yeah, anyway, so I wanted to shout that out. In the newsletter, Andrew Wang pointed out a dope, the pick of the letter. Get it? You see what I did there? It's the pick of the letter because it's the newsletter, and it's the thing I'm picking to be the pick of the newsletter, which is like pick of the litter. So anyway, this is a Tiny Desk contest entry. You know how like NPR does a Tiny Desk. and they encourage people to send in their their own stuff so that you could be like their tiny desk I don't want to say amateur hour, but like they do like stars, but like you could actually, and then they pick one to be like the Tiny Desk winner. And this was a good one. This actually is really great for the teachers in the house. We'll play a clip of it, and then you just watch the whole thing on your own time because there's other things to do in life besides watch me talk and play clips all night. It's called
Why Would Anyone Want to Be a Teacher? What you have before you are a group of educators, administrators, and we teach youth because we want to empower the next generation.
And this goes along to what we're saying. Teachers, hip hop, and all that education, all that good stuff.
Check it out.
Rule number one, stay tuned in to student voice. Remember why you chose to teach, like your school of choice. Don't lose the point. And every student learns differently. Some need more support than others just to work through their sensory.
It's your team, not your regiment. Lead with benevolence. People are the measurement, so evil keep assessing it. Make every day count, no matter what the level is. Confidence, competence, consistency, they treasure it. Watch what you say, trust what parents is delicate. Walk and speak the narrative, students are relatives. Guard your tongue, but the truth never embellish it. Inject some joy into their lives and not that sedative.
Why would anyone want to be a teacher? The highs and lows that grow future leaders. The spark, the flame, ignite hidden genius. They see themselves when they see us. Why would anyone want to be a teacher? The highs and lows
check that out.
future leaders.
Definitely check out that whole video. Pretty dope. They definitely are teachers. They're definitely rocking. And it's a dope song. It's a dope concept, and it's super dope. So I wanted to share that. Again, all this stuff is at the newsletter. Later this week, we'll have our normal segment, which I titled this live because I thought we might get into it, but we really didn't get into it because it's talking about the conferences so much. It's that beautiful segment that I like to call
Hip Hop News that isn't about dumb shit.
So we won't do it tonight because it's getting late, but I have a bunch of really cool stories from out and about the country that talks about this kind of stuff. So when I tell you like, conferences and all that, but also like local stuff that's happening that you may not hear about on your, you definitely won't hear about on, you definitely won't hear about on your hip hop media outlets like this, like anything we've talked about tonight. I would encourage you. I would double, triple dog dare you to find an article about it on another hip hop media site. It's not what they do. Not that there's anything wrong with it per se. It's just not their lane. You will find sometimes a local hip hop story in the news, like a local station or whatever, talking about something that somebody's doing locally. There's a story about the Illinois hip hop camp, which I think was on a NPR station or Illinois Public Radio, and our friends Adam Cruz, Lamont, Holden, out in Illinois at the Illinois hip hop camp. So look, here's a little thing that was done by them.
Music education as a field, schools of music broadly, and colleges of music around the country, and K-12 practices around the country have often not centralized Black American musical practices or Black American bodies in spaces.
So they have a whole summer program every year called the Hip Hop Camp at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. I'm going off memory. I think I got it right. You're not hearing about this. Again, what Jamila said earlier, like they're not pushing it. Yeah, I know I am. I am me. And Illinois Public Media, which is nice of them to do. But you wouldn't hear about it either if I didn't tell you about it because you're not in Illinois, right? So that's hip-hop news. It isn't about dumb-ish, right? And I got about 20 stories just like Lamont Holden. I said it right. Didn't I say that? I'm thinking like, I don't know. It sounds like another name, like from somewhere else in entertainment zeitgeist. So I thought I was crisscrossing lines. But yeah, so it's actually a lost interview. It's funny. We've had Adam Cruz and Dr. Holden on. I think they're both doctors. And then there was a technical glitchiness that wasn't good, and so it was kind of unlistenable. So I want to get them back because every year they do the Illinois Hip Hop Summer Camp at their university, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And they have it's like the Rap Innovation Center, Hip Hop Innovation Center at the college. They're doing great work over there. So the point is that this stuff is hip hop news. It isn't about dumb-ish. So we'll have that in a newsletter probably by the end of the week. And then what we'll do is we'll come back here next Monday. We'll talk about those stories that went out on the newsletter. We can vibe on them. You give me a 2 cents. We'll go back and forth. So there's definitely some interaction here, as you already know, in the chat. We do that. And then there's another interview that's going to be dropping next week. That's really, 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 really cool. Especially if you're into like the content creator world, the influencer world, old school hip hop lists. If you remember the ego trip lists. So if any of those things, so content creation, social media, old school hip hop, hip hop lists, if any of those things are like, oh yeah, I like that stuff, you'll like the interview next week. And then we'll talk about the hip hop news that isn't about dumb-ish. We'll have updates on any of those conferences. I'll give you a little bit more, hints and drops about the book that's coming out as I start to, as soon as I get a link. They haven't given me a link yet. I've seen the proofs. I'm working on edits. Everything looks lovely. I'm working on the cover design, and it's in the mix. It's coming out late April. But I don't have a link yet, like you can pre-order it yet. So to me, it's still not real, and that's why I'm not telling y'all yet. But just yay, get excited. The anticipation is great. We're working on this together. So in the meantime, in between time, I'll be back next Monday. I like this. We're back into the flow. We're back into let's keep it going. Please thumbs up before you go. Make sure you're subscribed and share it. Just share it on the way out. Drop it on your Facebook and be like, yo, you missed a great show. Shouts again to John Robinson, who's in the building. Again, he got the random shout out from Dr. Sconiers. Happens to be the guy that I'm doing the live podcast in person in Atlanta this Saturday. Wow, it's coming up. So again, if you know anyone in Atlanta, please send them our way. Send them here. Just tell them, look us up, find it, do whatever the internet-y things you got to do. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's all on my list. ATL Pod Jam, Discord. Don't forget we have a Discord server. We also have a subreddit. So wherever you are, I'm on Blue Sky. Are you on Blue Sky? Wherever you are, find me and let's keep this communication going. I talk about this stuff all the time, all day, every day. I drop links. I drop, things all the time. Shouts to Andrew Wang. Shouts to Dr. Travis. Shouts to I don't know if I had any. Oh, shouts to Miss Parker. I'm shouting out the people that are Patreon supporters, specifically, or Patreon or Substack supporters. So please, if you can, donate to the Patreon, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say for the rest of the night. My daughter just got back to town. She was traveling. She'll be here in a few minutes. I've been watching grandbaby girl faces for the day, and she's 3.5, and she's delightful, but she talks and asks so many damn questions. And I entertain her. I'm very good with children. I have 19. And so it's nice to have a young one again that I know I can give back in a few minutes. But oh my God, the inquisitiveness of this child. But it was delightful. We talked all day about, I just answered everything. What's this? Oh, this is that. What's this? This is that. What's this? This is the thermostat. What is a thermostat? Well, what it does is it controls the temperature in the house all day long. Got nothing done. But it was fantastic. So I'm going to go have a drink, wait for her mom to come and take this inquisitive child off my hands. And I'll be back next Monday. Please reach out to me during the week. Come to our Discord, man. Come to our Discord. Hip hop, for all of this, all the links, hiphopcansaveamerica.com. Can't forget that. That's easy. I don't got to tell you, go nowhere else. Thumbs up, subscribe here, share it, tell your people they missed a good show, and stop fronting and come here Monday. And then hiphopcansaveamerica.com for all my links and ways to contact me. I got some great stuff lined up for y'all for the rest of the year. And hopefully I'll see you in some of these conferences and in these streets. All right. It's your man, Manny Faces. One time.
Manny Faces. You sick for this one.
And yeah, that's it. Y'all like my Stewie one, right? That was cool. I'll give you one more. This is fun. Ready?
Well, if we've got a new friend,
this is for you, Al.
I'd like to know his name.
Name? I never had one, not a real one anyway.
Then we'll give you one. One that is fitting for your many talents.
And many faces. Hey, that's it. Faces.
All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out. Love y'all for rocking with me, man. Let's do it again next Monday, 9 o'clock.